Hi, everyone. Welcome in. We're going to give it a minute or two so that everyone has a chance to hop on and join our call. But I want to thank you all for being here and joining our program this evening. I'll give you a little bit more of an idea what to expect. Mm, mm, mm. Also, if any of the attendees want to throw in the chat where you're joining us from, what high school or what area of the country or world you may be watching us from, that'd be cool to see. Mm, mm. Okay. Oh, New Jersey, nice. Okay, we'll get started with the program and people can join in as they come. But thank you all for joining us. My name is Julia Wallace. I'm one of our assistant directors of admission here at Northwestern. I'm also an alum of our Medill School of Journalism. I work on our outreach and access team to bring you different programming like this. So this is part of our Marquee Week lineup to celebrate Black History Month at Northwestern on campus. This may be your third night seeing me. If you were here for our mock lecture Monday and for our alum panel last night, today's theme is current student panel. Current students at Northwestern. That's who we have today for you to ask what the current pulse is on campus and what is going on, what things they may be involved or into. So this is really the opportunity for you to get to ask any and all questions that you may have not ever known where to go or who to ask for as a resource, especially regarding the Black student experience at Northwestern. So we just want to serve as a resource for you all and someone to have a familiar face with Northwestern and to talk about their authentic experience. So if there's any questions already pressing of mind that you have, you can utilize that Q&A function to start loading those in. And after the panel kind of wraps up, I will be hanging around for about 5-10 more minutes if there's any specific admissions related questions that I could help answer for anyone joining us. So that's just an idea of how the program will run. It is very free for all. There's no stupid questions, I promise. But on that note, I will pass it over to let our panelists introduce themselves, and then we'll just hop in right into it and get started with the questions. But I'll pass it over to Angel.
Hi guys, my name is Angel. I'm a fourth year studying at journalism and dance here at Northwestern. I don't have a hometown. I'm a military kid, so I'm kind of from all over. If you're coming here from Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Virginia, I see you. Love you guys all. That's my hometowns. I went to a private Christian high school in Augusta, Georgia. So it was on the smaller side. It was mostly a PWI for the most part, so I will say. Got a little bit of practice with that before I got to Northwestern. Um, Outside of schoolwork, though, I spend a lot of time working with the theater and dance groups here on campus. So I do a lot with our student theater as well as with multiple dance groups. So both on the curricular side with New Movement Project, as well as some fun, just for fun dance groups, like a drum and dance group called Boom Shaka. But yeah, I'm finishing out my last year here at Northwestern. I'm in my last quarter of actual classes, and I'm actually currently in Argentina, completing my journalism residency. So if you have any questions about that, I definitely can answer all of those.
Hello, my name's Kenneth. I'm a second year studying econ with a minor in artificial intelligence in our Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences. I'm from Ellicott City, Maryland, so about 20 minutes outside of Baltimore, and I went to a public school in that area. Yeah.
Hello, I'm Tim Russell. I'm actually from Evanston, born and raised like Julia. So or not gonna be. I'm a junior this year. I'm studying mechanical engineering in McCormick. And I don't know, my high school experience was pretty not similar to Northwestern, but I had a diverse group of people I got to interact with before I got on campus.
Hi everyone, I'm Alexandra. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm from Oakland, California. I went to a private Catholic high school in Oakland, and some of our values are rooted in community and diversity and social justice. Here at Northwestern, I'm a fourth year in Weinberg, the College of Arts and Sciences, studying psychology, minoring in business institutions and legal studies, and I'm pursuing the Integrated Marketing Communication Certificate. And as for my involvement on campus, I'm involved in a lot of pre-professional business clubs, and also the Minority Business Association within one of those business clubs. So happy to speak on that experience and how Northwestern has supported me.
Hi, everybody. My name is Margarita. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a sophomore here at Northwestern studying journalism and history with an American concentration. I'm from Rockville, Maryland, which is about 30 minutes outside of DC, and I went to a pretty large public high school that was majority white and Asian. In terms of on-campus involvement, I'm in the Black Acapella group on campus, Soul for Real, and I also do history research, so I'm totally open to answering questions on either of those.
Thank you all for those lovely introductions. To kind of get started, since we talked a little bit about what high schools you were coming from and you all are kind of spread out around the country, how did you hear about Northwestern and why did you pick Northwestern in your college search, thinking of the things that were important to you as a high school student, some things maybe the current attendees should be keeping in mind when thinking about college fit and things like that. So kind of what was your college search like and why did you choose Northwestern? Why did Northwestern stand out?
I can start with that one. I actually didn't, I'm from California, so the UCs are where a lot of people from my high school end up kind of feeding into. But I heard about Northwestern my freshman year when one of my best friend's older sister got into the school. And I started doing some research on it. And I think it provided, I don't want to spoil my like why Northwestern, but I think it just provided a perfect balance of everything I was looking for in a college. And I knew that Northwestern's kind of smaller, medium size meant that I was never going to be a number. I also know that Northwestern's network was like very vast from Chicago, East Coast, West Coast, internationally. So I think in that way, I knew early on in my like research of colleges processes that Northwestern was going to be a place where I knew I'd be able to explore a vast majority of studies and also kind of grow both personally and professionally.
I'm gonna jump in with the exact opposite of a story. So I had absolutely never heard of Northwestern. And then like beginning of my high school career, I ended up going to a camp of the National Student Leadership Conference, which is not Northwestern affiliated. They just happened to have Northwestern as one of their sites. And so I was there on campus for about 2 weeks and I thought it was a super cute campus, but I was like, other than that, I was like, okay, cool. Moved on with my life. And then when I started applying to schools as a journalism major, my guidance counselor immediately pulled me aside and was like, this is the number one school. This is where you're going. And I said, okay. She was amazing. I always trusted anything she said. So I just applied kind of on that whim, had a full plan to go somewhere in the South, and then got that, yep, you're coming. And so that was a little interesting. Had to learn how to walk in the snow again and buy snow boots and a coat and stuff like that. But yeah, I was definitely on the other end of the spectrum with it. So if you are someone like that who's kind of like, I don't know, I mean, you're already a step ahead of I was because you're on this webinar. So, but yeah, I just kind of wound up here, but I love it. So worked out.
Adding on to kind of that kind of story, I also just ended up here. I hadn't heard of it before the college application process. My friends just recommended I shoot in an application because I was trying to do econ, and I was like, okay, why not? It was also the furthest school I applied to, so I definitely didn't even like sending in the application. I didn't think I was going to get in. I didn't think I was going to come. But the main reason why I decided going from 0 to 100, I guess you could say, was that when I came for admitted students day, I got a vibe for like the student body on campus, and I could tell that unlike a lot of other prestigious schools, it's a very collaborative and like just helpful environment. Like I said, like I'm not really competing with my fellow students, whereas at a lot of other schools, I've gotten advice or I've just felt that the energy there was very much competitive among your fellow students, and I was not trying to look for that especially at a competitive school. So that's what kind of set Northwestern apart for me.
Yeah, mine was a little bit more major specific. I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do in college at all, and then I kind of just stumbled upon journalism and I started looking into like summer programs. And Medill, the School of Journalism has a summer cherubs program that they run. It's for the summer between your junior and senior year of high school. So I applied kind of shooting in the dark again because I had never done it journalism before, and I ended up getting in and visiting campus in summer, which is it's absolutely beautiful and it pretty much just sold me. on coming here, and I met a bunch of like the professors, and it just seemed like a really welcoming environment, especially with someone with literally no experience, and encouraged me to join my school paper my senior year and then apply. So that's how I found out about Northwestern.
I found out about Northwestern from the womb. Both my parents went here, and I'm from Evanston, so I've been around the school like my whole life. I used to take classes up or like classes as a kid. In tech, and tech is where the Robert R. School of Engineering is. And so for me, I just like enjoyed it as a kid, and I was like, it's not that bad. It's in town. It's up the road. If I want to come home and take a nap, I could do that. So that's how I found Northwestern, I guess.
Thank you. I love the variety in those answers and how you all kind of came to know Northwestern through a different angle or a perspective, or maybe even a shot in the dark, or maybe even the womb. But kind of more into the academic life at Northwestern, if there's anything anyone can touch on, maybe what their high school academics were compared to Northwestern academics, if you felt prepared in making that transition. And if we have a question from Xavier, if there's any way you can incorporate, or if you've had experiences where how has being a Black student shaped your academic experience specifically at Northwestern? If that's less relevant to you, about the high school, college differences that maybe you faced on the academic standpoint.
I can start us off. So I took a couple AP classes while I was in high school, not too many. My school did had, I think, 8 total that were offered. So having that, I think, was a good balance and like a good way to transition into college. I also, during my first year, that first fall, I only took 3 courses as to kind of give myself more time to acclimate to the college environment, kind of being on my own more, having a roommate. I have a sibling, but it's been a while since we've had the same room. So that was a whole new thing to get back used to. And it was funny enough, one of the classes I was in was essentially the same as my AP US history class. And another class I was in was AP Lit. It felt like the exact same. So I felt like that transition was really, really smooth. For me, it was more of once the winter quarter hit, then outside of academic things start affecting your academic things. So it gets dark early, it's snowy, you're kind of cold, you're not seeing your friend as much. So that ended up being more of a thing that affected my academics than I expected it to. I also started taking more classes because I saw that I could handle the free. So I went ahead and jumped into a few more, which ended up being a little overwhelming. But thankfully, we have such amazing like support teams here on campus, which I think also really helped with that transition from high school. Because high school, I just had the one guidance counselor. Here, I have my advisor for journalism and my advisor for my dance minor, as well as just a bunch of different faculty members that I've picked up as mentors. I will say, as a Black student on campus, any Black teachers on campus, they clock who you are and they immediately are like, okay, that's my child. I'm gonna watch out for them. So that's amazing to have. I had a lot of mentors that just kind of popped out of literally nowhere. And once they've identified you, they're like, okay, I'm going to keep checking up on you, which is amazing, I would say.
I can hop in next. I kind of tried to ease myself in just like Angel was talking about. I took a lot of classes that I had technically already taken in high school, but wanted to like see kind of where that gauged me relative to what Northwestern's course load and rigor was like. So I took a lot of repeat courses to kind of gauge what would be challenging and what wouldn't be. And I'm really glad I did that because it kind of exposed me to what like single variable calc was or something at Northwestern compared to AP, so I could gauge what that rigor would be like. In addition, I had a freshman year seminar that was a really tight knit group of kids. That was actually about the Great Migration from Black people from the American South to the North, specific with Chicago. So I gained a lot of mentors and friends in that class that really helped me kind of just explore how different people's experiences affected, the greater Chicagoland area, their family, and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I can go. In high school, I took like a lot of APs, but my high school was more of like what you make of it. It wasn't known to be like the most rigorous school in my hometown area. So coming into Northwestern, it was definitely a shock factor not being like kind of like top of my class, whatever, that like average exam being slightly like lower than you would expect on the like percent wise. But like Angel was saying, there are so many resources here at Northwestern. So there's something called like a peer guided study group you can enroll in, which is something I took advantage of for like some of the entry level classes for like math or the sciences. And in that way, I was able to build out a smaller cohort of students, getting that extra help from teaching assistants and graduate students as well. So here at Northwestern, I feel like the abundance of resources and mentors that you'll have is going to help you academically and I guess in your personal life as well.
Thank you all for those responses. I have a question. This is a great question. Asking about, is the first major you picked when you applied still the major that you are currently in now? Did you change your major? Did you add a major or minor? And how easy or hard was that to do at Northwestern? Also, if someone in their response can kind of talk about the Northwestern quarter system, I forgot about. If you're on the call, maybe unfamiliar with the quarter system and what that looks like, there are few schools in the country that are on it. So I'll have one of our students kind of explain to you the academic schedule at Northwestern, and then we can get into double majoring, minoring, and those things.
Yeah, I
I
can
can
go
go.
ahead.
Oh,
Oh, you got it. No, you got it.
okay. For me, I chose mechanical engineering coming into Northwestern, and I've stuck with it. But if you're deciding to be an engineer or go into McCormick, you will have at least a quarter or two to choose your major. A lot of the first year fall quarter and winter quarter, everyone's taking the same classes regardless of your major. I had friends who were like biomedical engineering, chemical engineering. We had a lot of overlap in our classes. So you do get 20 weeks because the quarter is 10 weeks to choose your major if you're not totally set, at least in engineering, which gives you like a little wiggle room to figure it out. But I also know of people who switched into mechanical engineering in their junior and like late sophomore year. One of my good friends switched from physics into mechanical engineering. He has to take one or two more engineering classes a quarter, but it's definitely doable. He'll still graduate on time. So we have like our distro classes, and so usually what they'll do is they'll uh, take the classes you took your first 2 years and move those towards like your distros, and then junior senior year you'll just take your more specific classes, at least for engineering.
Oh yeah, I can go ahead and hop in here. Yeah, so I came in as a journalism major. And since then I've added the history double major and I also have a minor in global health. But you absolutely do not have to stick with the major that you came in as. It's really easy to change majors and change schools. So we have one main school, which is our Weinberg College of Arts and Sciences, houses about half of our students and most of our majors. And then we have, I think it's five specialized schools. So our School of Music, our School of Communication, our School of Engineering, our Education and Social Policy School, and then our School of Journalism. Yeah. Oh, and then if you apply, I'm just gonna go ahead and tackle the question there. If you apply, you can apply undecided. By default, you will be put in our College of Arts and Sciences, and then from there, you can, you have to decide by the end of your second year, I believe, on a major, but you have a lot of time to do that. And then every student is given an advisor, in their first year, and so that advisor can help you either decide on a major, or if you'd like to switch, you just fill out a couple of forms and then meet with an advisor in your new department. And it's pretty easy to do that.
I could hop in a little bit more to extend on that. I feel like Northwestern is very much a school of for misfits if you don't really know what you're trying to study. That's one of the things that kind of brought me here, just because there is a lot of flexibility in being able to explore different things, add on different majors and things like that because of the quarter system. And that's also another reason why I decided to come here, because though I came as an econ major and I've decided to stick with that path, part of the reason why I came here was because I was not dead set on econ and I wanted to have some experiences to be able to explore if I wanted to switch to something else or add something or something like that. So yeah.
In terms of the quarter system, I'll give kind of the tour guide spiel on that. So if you've gotten a tour, you go on a tour, you'll hear the same thing. But essentially, Northwestern is set up on 4 quarters rather than 2 semesters. 3 of those quarters are considered academic: the fall, winter, and spring. The summer quarter is up for you to choose what you want to do with it. Some people take classes or go abroad, do internships. Other people just choose to go home and take a nap, and that is perfectly fine. Those other 3 are going to be about 10 to 11 weeks long each, starting in September. We go September to about the beginning of December. You have a break for winter quarter, January until about mid-March. There's a week-long spring break. And then at the end of March / beginning of April, you end up with that last quarter that goes until June. So you do start a little bit later, end a little bit later, but it tends to work out for a lot of students. I know people sometimes get worried about internships with that. And most times you tell them, I am a student at a quarter school, and they get it. The quarters do move pretty fast, in that it's 10 weeks of information, but all of our courses are set to be on the quarter system. So you don't have to worry about like a semester's worth of information being crammed into that quarter. Instead, it's just a quarter within a quarter. And if you ever have a class where it might, for example, you might need more time diving into a subject, we have what are called sequences. So you might take, for instance, Spanish 121 -1 -2 and -3, and you have the whole sequence there. You've completed the whole thing. You've been able to dive a little bit deeper into the subject. But again, it keeps it onto that simple quarter system vibe, which makes it a lot easier for students to study and do that. We also don't have, we have foundational disciplines as opposed to what most schools have as gen ed requirements, which is why a lot of us have mentioned that it's very easy to switch between your courses or between your major and minor. And it's because of those disciplines as opposed to having the gen eds. A lot of those are buckets essentially, like literature and fine arts. Ethics and values. They're very general, they're very broad. They have 100+ classes in there. So it also keeps our class sizes small because you can kind of hop around with which one you want to take. So you're not competing with a ton of students to do that. It's also just a great system because it allows you to take stuff that you're passionate about or interested in. For instance, I had a history class I needed to take. I do not like history. I ended up taking history of pirates, guns, and empires. So I got my history credit, but I had a little fun with it. So that's kind of a little bit more of what that quarter system looks like and why there's so much flexibility there.
Yeah, thank you for that. Real quickly for Nicole, thank you for your question about being undecided. What Margarita said is 100% correct. Also would like to add that you can apply undecided to 4 of our 6 undergraduate schools. The only 2 you cannot apply undecided to are our Beanan School of Music. Sorry, because that requires an audition, and our Medill School of Journalism, because we just have the one major journalism. So you have to be pretty decided about that if you're choosing that route. But if you know you're kind of interested in our School of Engineering, where Tim is, but you kind of don't really know exactly where you would fall in that, you can apply directly to our engineering school undecided, or directly to our School of Communications undecided, things like that. And then during our orientation week, which we call Wildcat Welcome, you'll be with your PA group and with other undecided students to kind of get an understanding of Northwestern and different resources and programs available to kind of start already sussing out what may sound interesting from your first week on campus with the support of upperclassmen. But what Angel said just kind of left us off on a great question. I'd love for you all to highlight kind of what was one or two of your favorite classes that you've taken at Northwestern. Maybe it was an unexpected one, maybe it was one in your major. But yeah, what is the favorite class that you can shout about Northwestern?
Yeah, I can go. My favorite class to date is psychology and law. I'm a psychology major, but also, as Angel had mentioned, in Weinberg, we have something called our foundational disciplines. And one of those is going to be the ethics and values distro. So I had taken psychology and law because I knew it would double count for my psychology major and also this ethics and values distro. But I really enjoyed the class. It was once a week for 3 hours, and it was more Socratic seminar style. So we all sat around this big round table. It was about 20 of us, and it was not lecture based. We would come in having done the readings and basically just talk about kind of our takeaways, key insights. So it was definitely less of, or it was more of student led conversation, which I really appreciated, despite me being someone who might be more on the shy side and less outgoing. But with that being said, I ended up adding the legal studies minor because I was so fascinated by psychology and law. So I really appreciate how the foundational disciplines enabled me to, I guess, take things that were maybe out of my comfort zone or something I had not
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and add in here next. So I actually had no interest in history at all in high school. I really hated it. I hated the way it was taught. It was just, I don't know, I found it kind of boring. But I realized I had to take history classes for the historical studies like distro that we have. So I decided to take a class called History of Modern Latin America because I'm half Hispanic, and I actually loved the class so much that it genuinely convinced me to walk into the history department advisor's room and ask her to double. I don't know. I just really liked the like late 19th century history, and I really liked how palatable it was to like American perspective. So that was super cool. But I had no interest in European history. I'm more interested in Black and Hispanic history. So when I realized I could have an American concentration, that was super sick. And then my other favorite class is the one that I'm taking right now, which is History of the 1990s. So it's very pop culture related, like we just learned about OJ, and things like that. So I found that one to be super cool.
My favorite class, honestly, though, was I took a movement for the stage class, which is a fancy way of saying circus. And so that was the best class I've ever taken. We were up in silks, learning how to do flips and like lifts and stuff like that. That was probably my favorite class on campus. Not academic at all, but sometimes you got to take a fun class.
My favorite class so far, it's Meki 340. It's like a manufacturing class. We got to learn how pop cans and stuff are manufactured. And that was like one of the labs we got to do was make pop cans and like punch them out. So that's pretty cool. We did like a lot of like regular household items. Like we even uh this is very like nerdy, but like we got to injection mold something. So like you know how a shampoo bottle, how it gets made, we got to do that too. So that was pretty fun.
I guess I'll just round it out. My favorite class is probably that freshman seminar about Great Migrations that I mentioned earlier. It just gave me a lot of my friends, and it also just brought me up to the college level that kind of meets Northwestern's rigor. But it was also such an interesting class that had really good readings. Like I was always really excited to get into the different books that they're offering, especially since they were all classics like Gene Toomer's Cane and like Our Raisin in the Sun and things like that, that all just kind of are must reads, and our analysis and our discussions about them were just super like in depth and kind of just stimulated interest in things that even if you weren't interested, like you kind of had to be involved. And so it was really just a fun class to be a part of. So I would say that one.
Awesome. Thank you guys for those answers. As you were talking, I remember my two favorite classes when I was in undergrad. One, again, a common theme with history. Maybe in high school it just wasn't, hitting the same till I came to Northwestern. I took a history of sex crimes course, which was super interesting. If you've ever watched like Law and Order SVU, it's kind of like the legal side of that, which was really interesting. And I ended up taking a class in my junior year that was about the intersection of horror movies and gender expression. So kind of how women have been portrayed in horror movies throughout time and how those trends are kind of changing. So really interesting things that you can engage with on campus and find your niche. We also have a maple tree tapping class, which is offered like winter quarters or spring quarters, maybe. Don't sue me. I don't know when maple tree tapping time is, but a lot of my friends who are in American studies, they always shout out that that was one of their favorite classes that they took. We have a question asking, how would you describe the social scene at Northwestern? Which is, I think, is a great question. So when it comes to maybe interactions with your peers or just the general vibe on campus, or also when you were getting involved in your student organizations, how did you find them and how hard was it to join? Was there an application? Kind of how you engage with Northwestern socially.
I can go. That little lull there. I am a part, as I said before, I'm a part of the theater and dance communities on campus, which are pretty accessible. You don't have to be a theater major, dance major, or minor, or anything like that to be a part of any of that. I actually got involved with it my freshman year through something called the Freshman Musical, which is entirely done by freshmen, both on the like production side and being in it. So I worked on the costume teams there, and once I got like linked up with that one, I was getting emails about everything pretty much. And so I've done I think 15 to 20 shows on campus now through that, and you always meet new people through that, which I think is amazing. There's so many different social scenes on Northwestern's campus, and all of them are wildly different and they attract different people. But I would say that we are generally a very friendly campus, very open campus, and there's always a place for somebody. I know like people probably say that all the time and it sounds so cliche, but like it really is true. We have so many student organizations and so many like academic related things that it's really hard to not find a place here on campus. But yeah, that's kind of how I found my things was just showing up places. I know like if you have social anxiety, that's not the best thing ever, but trust me, I have it too. You can do it. It's amazing. It works out really, really well. Because a lot of times you show up to those things and everyone else is in the same boat and they're thinking the same thing of I just want to make friends and find my place, but I don't know where to get started. And then you just start up a random conversation and boom, there you go.
Um, I can hop in next. Just I feel like one thing that people always think about when they're thinking about college and social is like Greek life. And so I'll just talk a little bit about that because I'm not in a frat, but basically all of my friends are in a frat or a sorority. So I'm very like tangentially attached to that kind of community. And I would say that it's a very accepting community. It's on the rise here at Northwestern. So there's definitely a lot of energy in that community and really, there's a lot of different ways to get involved, whether you want to be a part of a cultural or identity frat, a business frat, a social frat, anything like that. If you want to live in a frat or if you want to, um, yeah, frat adjacent, I guess you could say. If you want to live in a frat house or if you just want to live in the dorm and just have more of like the connections and the relationships that come with a frat, there's just a lot of opportunities to get involved in Greek life, and in that sphere at Northwestern to, just, broaden your circle, get some connections and get some opportunities.
Yeah. Also at the start of every quarter, we have a club fair. And so with that, you're able to like explore. Well, we have over 500 clubs here at Northwestern. So like Angel said, there's a place for everyone here. That stems from pre-professional, Greek life, philanthropic, etc. So I think with that being said, like you're able to kind of find your community, given we have so many different ones that are so welcoming and easy to join. But yeah, I think also just for like doing things as like a college student, we have like a really cute college town here in Evanston, but also I've been able to kind of leverage the big city. We have about 30 minutes via metro or like our kind of speedier train. So going downtown with friends is something a lot of us students are able to take advantage of. And I've loved being able to have both the quieter suburb while also having that big city. So there's endless opportunities here.
Yeah, also to note, we have a lot of spaces on campus that are meant for students of color outside of Greek lives. Like we have a house called the Black House. Ironically enough, it's one of the only white houses on Sheridan Road, which is kind of like the road that bleeds through campus. And there's a lot of like programming that goes on there with some of the organizations, like for members only, which is our Black Student Union. But also you can just go and do homework in there. There's a computer lab in there, so it's super nice. It's just a very chill environment. My friends and I hang out in there a good bit. Alongside that, there's also the Multicultural Students Center, I believe, which is also on Sheridan Road, and they also host programming. But the Black House is just closer to where I live, so that's where I spend a lot of time. In terms of social life, though, I think one of the things about going to an academically rigorous school like this is that there are going to be other Black people in your classes, at least for me personally. But there's also there's so many events and organizations. There's other that like it's really easy to meet other Black people. So like I met a lot of my other Black friends just like at like parties. There's a lot of like BIPOC parties at the top of your freshman year. For you to meet other people. So like my three closest friends are, I believe, in social policy, psychology, and then also journalism, but I met them all in different places, and yeah, it's really easy to create a Black community. I feel like outside of your major, outside of like a specific club or organization. Yeah.
Thank you for those answers. I also want to shout out at the beginning of each year after orientation, once all the upperclassmen move back to campus, we host a Black to School barbecue for you to kind of Brad and I see who's on the Lakeville, start making those connections and building those relationships with upperclassmen. I also would like to shout out BMP, our Black Mentorship Program. If you're a student who really wants to get connected with a mentor, and then you kind of switch roles. A lot of time mentees become mentors. Their experience as they progress through Northwestern, and to kind of show our incoming Black students in class the ropes and life at Northwestern. We've got a few questions in the Q&A that will go to. Okay, we have a great one about what is dorm life like at Northwestern, if we can get into kind of what the housing process is, what your options are, differences between residential college and a dorm, the kind of different ends of campus. And yeah, if you went random with your roommate, what your roommate process was, what does housing look like at Northwestern to a student who's never done it or heard of the housing portal before?
I can go. I found my roommate Yao. We just texted on Instagram when I met him, and Yao was Black too. He asked me if I was clean, and I was like, that's good enough for me, for us to be roommates. But we had a really good time my freshman year. Especially like me being a Black man, him being a Black man, and he's doing econ too. So he's kind of navigating a field that doesn't have as many Black people like me in engineering. And I would say for me, having someone in the same shoes as me, day in and day out, really made my freshman year that much easier. You do get to list your top choices for your dorms. I was in Sarge, definitely the oldest dorm on campus. Uh, the good thing is though that there's a lot of people in there, and a lot of my friends ended up being in there, which was nice, and it also gave me an opportunity to kind of build uh, my social group without having to go out and be social, since I'm a little bit of an introvert. So maybe if you like to keep to yourself, maybe being in a larger dorm could be helpful because you just end up running into more people, and that's just another way you could foster connection on campus.
I'll go ahead and add in here, as you guys have probably been able to see my roommate going around in the last like 30 minutes of this call. Um, I live in the dorms right now as a second year. You have to live on campus for your first 2 years, but you pretty much get an option versus for residential colleges versus residential halls. A residential hall is like a dorm, pretty much exactly what you're expecting. Usually a double room, like the room I'm in right now, and then a communal style bathroom. And they tend to be bigger. So like I live in one of the bigger dorms on campus. Allison Hall holds about 400 people, I believe. And so I got to know a lot of the people in my dorm. A lot of the people I lived with last year, we all agreed to live here again this year. So it's really nice, and the community's pretty tight knit. The other option is residential colleges, and these are going to be like living spaces with a theme. So like there's a theme of, I believe, commerce. There's one of communications, international relations, and there's no need to like major in the interest of your residential college, but just that you like the topic because there's a lot of programming towards that interest. So you have those two options. I'm pretty extroverted, so I wanted the bigger space. And my roommate and I actually met in the summer program that I did that I mentioned like a little bit earlier. We were roommates last year and roommates again this year. She's like one of my best friends. But yeah, one of the really nice things about a bigger dorm, my second day here in the first floor lounge, they were playing poker. So I learned how to play poker, and I play pretty regularly with the people who live, especially last year. I played pretty regularly with the people in my dorm, and it was nice because I made some money. So yeah, you're gonna have that option either way.
I could talk a little bit about my like first year housing experience. I went random, and so I just kind of got placed with anybody else who also went random. I also lived in Sarge. I don't, sounds like your experience might not have been as good as mine. I kind of liked Sarge, at least over the other options, but there's a lot of storage, which was nice. Um, but yeah, I went random, and I honestly would do it again. I really liked my roommate. I actually went random, and then my random roommate went what with someone else the day roommates got announced. So then I went like double random, I guess. Because I went with whoever he went with roommate. Just I don't know. It was weird. So like it was a really random process for me, but it ended up working out really well. I have a lot of good memories with my roommate. And he's just a really cool guy. We weren't ever super close, but the fact that we were able to coexist and still have a great time, even though we never really became best friends, I feel like just kind of speaks to like what a lot of people's experiences are at Northwestern. I haven't really heard any horror stories or anything. Worst case scenario, you just coexist with your roommate. Like we've kind of mentioned earlier, there's always really good people, really kind people at Northwestern. So it'd be kind of hard to find the diamond in the not the diamond in the rough, but like the rotten egg, I guess, or something like that.
I'm gonna say I've lived on campus for 3 years. Your third and fourth year, you do have the option if you would like to. And so I did that my third year. And I'm going to argue that I lived in the oldest dorm on campus. I lived in the Communications Residential College, East Fairchild. It's over 40 years old. And sometimes the heating doesn't work, but that's okay. So we do have some of the like typical struggles that happen every once in a while. We do have a really responsive res life team. So anytime we've had a problem, that got fixed. I also went random for my roommate, though funny enough, I had talked to about 4 girls online, and one of them I was like, I feel like she's the one. And then she was like, I'm gonna go random. So I was like, okay, so sorry. We both went random and we got each other. So I would also say that that system is pretty good. That is one of my best friends to this day. She is a dance major. And so it's really funny. We were both coming in as dancers looking for a dance community on campus. She helped me find the dance group I'm part of right now, and I went with her when she auditioned for the dance group that she's a part of right now. So it really worked out. The other place that I lived was Foster Walker Complex, though, which is a dorm of all single groups. So also highly suggest that if you're looking for a bit of your own space. It also has a dining hall and mail facility like in the dorm. So that was really nice. I especially wanted that my third year because I was like, I am tired of walking in the snow to go get food. I want to be close to it. Yeah, and so then I didn't leave campus until afterward. But even once you leave campus, we still have a great off-campus support staff. So you don't have to worry about like I leave campus on my own. I'm on my own. Like no, off-campus life is amazing.
Angel, I'm gonna pick on you for a little bit. If you could also talk more about how dining ties into housing and into some kind of like transportation options in and around campus, like the shuttle systems, the trains, things like that.
Yeah, so in terms of dining options, we do have 5 dining halls on campus. They cover just about every single food thing you could possibly want, as well as dietary restrictions, including like vegetarian, vegan, halal, kosher, anything like that. If you have a dietary restriction that's like not being met by the dining hall, we do have a campus dietitian. Her name's Maddie. She's super sweet, and you can always meet with her, and she can help you figure that out so you're able to eat on campus. You do have a full access meal plan your first 2 years because you are living on campus. And that has 3 main components: meal swipes, meal exchanges, and dining dollars. Those meal swipes are what get you into the dining halls. You don't have to go to like a specific one, regardless of where you live on campus. You could just pop in, and they're unlimited. So you can hop in as many times as you want, even if it's just to grab a quick sweet treat on your way to class. Meal exchanges, we do have some other options for food on campus, including in the Norris Student Center, Lisa's and Fran's, which are 2 like late night food options. And so you can use those there, and you're basically getting a whole meal like pizza and a water, chicken nuggets and fries and a drink or something like that. And you get 5 of those per week, and they reset weekly. So students love those. And then lastly, your dining dollars are for any of the on-campus convenience stores, like the market in Norris. There's also one in Foster Walker Complex. And so you can buy basic snack items, drinks, some like quick stuff you can pop in the microwave, as well as some things sometimes during like the winter time, they'll have hats, gloves, allergy meds, deodorant. So you can use those dining dollars. And so it's like using Monopoly money. It's fake. Go ahead and use how much you want. You get 125 of those, and they carry over by quarter, but not by year. So again, a very popular option for students on campus. In terms of transit, we do have a shuttle that is running up and down the length of campus throughout the school day, and typically a shuttle that also runs on weekends. There's also frostbite shuttles. So when it does get cold outside, I think it's when the temperature drops below 32 degrees, frostbite shuttles start running. And so those are 5 minutes apart. So you do not have to be outside super long if you are trying to get to campus or trying to get somewhere on campus. A lot of students too will take bikes, they'll walk. It's a very walkable campus, so you don't have to worry about that. Some students do have cars on campus, but it's pretty rare, I would say, unless you're in a third or fourth year, just because you don't really want to pay for parking and you can kind of walk everywhere. And then, yeah, I think someone mentioned the trains already, but we do also have trains that can get you back and forth from Chicago if you're interested in doing that, or just other suburbs nearby.
Thank you for that. I'm mindful of time, so we're going to take the last like 2 or 3 questions, but we have a really fun one for you guys. I love this question from Xavier. Xavier, what's your favorite tradition or event at Northwestern? This is a great question. So campus tradition, it may be hard to pick one, so you can throw in a couple if you feel so moved to.
I'll start with the obvious option. My personal favorite day on campus is Dillo Day. It's this music festival that happens every May. It's free for all Northwestern students, and it has like 2 main stages, a whole bunch of different artists, a whole day of music. And it's just basically a whole day where you just let loose and have fun, which is really fun, especially at the end of the school year when you're really just kind of crashing out, wanting to get out of there. It's just a little thing that like light the fire underneath you and get you going through the last like 2 or 3 weeks of school. It's just a great time to have fun with your friends. There's even like themes and things like that to the day. So like last year it was camp themed. It was called Camp Dillo. So it was supposed to be like summer camp themed. And the year before that was Planet Dillo. So it was like intergalactic, I guess. I'm not really sure. I wasn't here for that part. But it's just like a great day to be on campus and just kind of have like it's like the pinnacle college experience, blown to like a really extreme degree because it's a whole music festival. But yeah.
Yeah, my favorite tradition would be dance marathon. It happens every spring quarter. And basically, it's this fundraiser where over 800 students sign up to dance in this tent for 30 hours. And we raise money for 2 beneficiaries. One changes every year, and the other one will always be the Evanston Community Foundation, giving back to our Evanston locality. But with Dance Marathon, a lot of students are actually involved in it. I remember freshman year, I was in the marketing committee, so kind of reaching out to newspapers and magazines in the suburb. We're able to like raise awareness about it and raise money for it. And so we also have other committees. People will often join like the finance or production committee. So it's really easy to get involved and it's super fun. You can sign up with friends and in teams, and it's a little bit of a competition in that way to see which team or which individual can raise the most money for our beneficiaries.
Same. My favorite is Wildcat Welcome, which is our orientation. It's like 5 days long. I'm very biased in that I've done it 4 times. But yes, I do love our orientation process here at Northwestern. It was mentioned earlier that you have a peer advisory group, which is something that I think is pretty unique to our school. You come in with a group of built-in best friends and an older member on campus who is going to be like your peer advisor. So it's like having a mentor that's about your age who can help guide you through that orientation week, but also your entire first year. So I think it's just a really fun and exciting event, kind of getting to get settled on campus, and you don't have to worry about classes or even upperclassmen being on campus because it's just the first year, so that whole first time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have anything new here to add. Just want to emphasize Dillo a little bit and the black artists that we had last year. So the second stage, we have like the main stage, and then our for members only Black Student Union like does all the programming for the second stage. So they tend to focus on black artists. Like last year, we had Young Manny, I think was their headliner, and I'm from Maryland. Like, he's really big in DC, so it was really it was super cool to have like an artist from home. But sorry, but we also had Amare last year, and then Sway Lee was our headliner. So it tends to be very black artists. I think the year before that it was Offset, I want to say. Yeah. So yeah, super fire. Nice little bonus for Dillo Day.
Uh, for me, I don't. I'm pretty sure it's every year. They have like a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, and like some of the guys on the basketball team are your coaches. It's just to raise money for fundraising. I think it's like $5 you can do it. Um, I just like basketball. I'm on the club team, and it's a fun chance to like get out, go hoop, meet some people on the team. Yeah, I don't know. I just think that's a pretty cool thing. It usually happens in March or April, somewhere around that time. But yeah, it's pretty fun.
Thank you all. Okay, and then our famous last question, and if you know me, I also add an additional question to this last question. So last question to all of our panelists, mandatory you have to answer. One is the ultimate, why Northwestern? but more of where you're at now, things that you didn't know when you were in high school that would have made you choose Northwestern again. And what is your favorite off-campus place to eat? The most important question of it all. If these students are coming to visit campus, where do they need to stop for lunch?
Okay, I can start. Yeah, so like my why Northwestern, not really knowing like as much as I do now, would just be how it checked every single box for me. Small, medium-sized school. Being from the Bay Area, I knew I needed like a major metropolitan city nearby. Chicago fit that perfectly. I also wanted a school with a lot of school spirit. So being in the Big Ten was something that kind of satisfied that prerequisite. And although we're not maybe winning all of our football games, we always love to show out. And especially for our basketball games, I feel like the energy in the arena is pretty awesome. So we have a lot of purple pride here, which I really appreciate. And then I guess what I've learned since being here, like someone had mentioned earlier, is that it's a really collaborative campus. And I think that is kind of hard to believe being like, I think we're ranked number 6 now. Yet I feel like it's so easy to reach out to a peer or faculty member for extra support. I remember one time during finals week, I was having trouble with a paper, but one of my professors, and I emailed one of my professors like asking for help last minute. And he literally just emailed back with his phone number and was like, let's just call and like talk about it. And I feel like that just epitomizes how easy it is to get access to professors and academic resources here at Northwestern. Um, like I mentioned before, the network is vast. Being someone interested in business and having Chicago 30 minutes away, I found it really easy to set up cold calls and cold emails with some of the Northwestern alumni at those firms. And they're always really happy to help Northwestern students because they know that we have strong work ethics and they just want to kind of give back to our community. And finally, as cliche as it is, the people have really made my Northwestern experience so formative. But not just like, I want to say that the people in the sense that everyone is so passionate and has so many aspirations, both career-wise, but also like their own like extracurricular interests. And I feel like with all that being said, it really lights a fire under me to explore everything that Northwestern has to offer. So I've been able to take advantage of my college experience in that way.
You missed the food place, Alexandra. I'm not letting you off the hook. Where
Oh
are you
my
going to get
gosh,
lunch?
sorry, the most important question. My favorite food spot off campus is Capital. It's just like a really cute cafe. They have great food, pastries, and also it's just an amazing study spot right downtown in Evanston.
Oh, no. I'm listening. Oh, am I good? Okay. Um, my word Northwestern before was because Dr. Shuther said so. Now it is because of the amazing opportunities that I've had. Since coming to Northwestern, I've become a photographer, a producer, a playwright. I've produced multiple dance shows. I'm now a costume designer, hair and makeup, as well as a journalist. So these are all different things that I've been able to do extracurricularly, but also with the help of faculty mentors in a way that I don't think you would literally be able to do at any other school. Like without the flexibility that Northwestern gives you and the like amount of opportunities you have to just explore things, like I genuinely don't think you would find that anywhere else. And so I'm eternally grateful for that. And that would definitely be the reason I'd come back, as well as the amazing study abroad opportunities I've had. This is my third time abroad. And so I absolutely love that we have those options, but also that we have financial support for those options because I cannot afford to be doing that. So it's really great to be able to have that as well. In terms of food, my favorite place for food is Coco Table. It's Korean cuisine. Absolutely love it. They nail it every time. They're so amazing. Their hours a little weird sometimes though. For vibes, Chili's because I've had so many great. See, you guys know. Chili's after literally anything is always it's always gonna hit, and I've had so many fun like adventures with friends where we wound up at Chili's. So always Chili's.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and add on to that since I got very excited when you said Chili's. I was literally there on Monday. As to my why Northwestern, when I first came, it was campus. I came in like late July. It was beautiful. I was on the beach with my friends. Now today it was literally snowing, so that is no longer my reason, I guess. But now it's definitely more the people. Again, as corny as it sounds, the communities here really are amazing. I think even with the like fast pace of classes, you really do get to know the students around you. I think the Midwestern niceness is something that's like always really taken me aback, even though I've been here for 5 quarters now. People are just genuinely willing to help you out, whether it's helping you unrack your bike, which has happened to me a couple more times than I'm proud of, or just, opening doors for you or helping you out in class. People are just willing to look out for you. Yeah, within the Black community as well, I've just found a lot of comfort just hanging out in the Black house and meeting new people. People are just nice. Like, um, I don't know, it's good to hear new perspectives. And in terms of like academics and career wise, for me personally, Medill, I've had a lot of opportunities to be an actual journalist. I'm doing like an investigative lab program now, so I get to report with ProPublica, which is like super sick. But outside of that, we get to do things like JR, which is what Angels do in Argentina and doing bilingual reporting. So it's just an amazing experience. As for food with the vibes, I am gonna add on to Chili's. They are supreme. Unfortunately, they are going away, which is sad. But for food, I'm gonna take Pono Ono Poke. I used to eat a lot of Asian food in high school, and I just really like. And the fish comes right out of the lake, so it's delicious.
I can go next. I kind of already touched on this about why I chose Northwestern, why I choose to keep coming back, but it is just kind of like the collaborative nature of the students. It's really just it's a nice community and atmosphere to be a part of, especially at such a rigorous school where it's really easy to get caught up in the academics and caught up in the challenging coursework and things like that. I also love the flexibility that we have. I feel like I'm a second quarter sophomore, and I still don't really know what I'm going to graduate with. And I feel like I still have the flexibility to explore that and make those decisions this far into my undergraduate career, which I don't think I could have the opportunity to do at most other schools. And I really appreciate that. And that's very much why I chose to come. As for food, I love chicken wings. I do prefer blue cheese over ranch. I know that one's the hot take there, but um, and we have this like classic place called Buffalo Joe's that has been around in the Northwestern community and the Evanston community for what I believe is decades now. They actually still only do cash. They don't take card. So that just kind of gives you a little context about what type of business we're talking about here. But it is like a really good place to just go get some wings, get your hands a little messy, and enjoy some dinner. So yeah.
For me, I would say like my new why Northwestern. I know everyone said it's the people, but like genuinely, it's the people. I don't think until like Northwestern, I got to meet other Black and Brown people who are like this passionate about what they want to do in life, and I think it just for me like affirmed everything I thought about myself, and that like what I want to do in life is just as good as what anybody else wants to do. Like my friends, like one friend, like he had a photo shoot. He had a photo in Vogue. Another friend, like he was in like an Apple TV show. And for me, at least, it's fun being like the most boring person to hang out with. And they're like also really nice and sweet people. And I would also say to add on to the food thing, definitely Chili's, definitely Buffalo Joe's. Me and my friends, we like to get a pan once a quarter and have a great feast as a group. So definitely.
Thank you all to our panelists for taking the time to speak with us this evening, excuse me, and for your insights. Thank you to our attendees for those great questions. So virtual round of applause for everyone's time here tonight. I know we're at time, so we don't have quite enough time to get into the admissions information, but I'm leaving my email in the chat if you want to contact me directly about any questions about our admissions process. Or if you want to get in contact with your regional admissions director, you can find all of that information on our undergraduate admissions website, as well as sign up for a virtual or in-person tour. We'd love to have you on campus. And thank you for hanging around for this evening programming. If you're interested, Friday, I have one of my ambassadors, one of my student workers, doing an Instagram takeover this Valentine's Day on campus. So if you want to follow Jamila around campus and see what's going on in her day, tap into our official undergraduate admissions Instagram page. But thank you all for the time. Thank you, panelists. Everyone have a great rest of your evening, and go Cats. Thank you all.